Joining me now is Amy Knight. She is a Russian politics and history expert. Good afternoon, Amy.
Good afternoon.
Amy, a new wrinkle from Donald Trump, it sounds like just a little bit earlier in the last hour or so. Let's focus on this first meeting, though. From everything you have seen and heard up until this point, is this first meeting with Vladimir Putin legitimate? Is there anything, do we expect at least anything legitimate to come out in the possible hopes of a ceasefire in this war?
I don't think a ceasefire is going to come out from this talk. Just by simply the fact that Trump is not allowing Zelensky into this call and is having a private meeting with Putin says a tremendous amount. Just this past week, he's kind of shifted a little bit and implied that Zelensky is also to blame for the Ukraine war. He's talked about land swaps. And again, excluding Zelensky, even from this first meeting, means that nothing really can come of it.
From your point of view, and it sounded like Donald Trump was trying to back off of that land swap comment today in some of his comments. But from your point of view, at least for right now, because we've had lots of talk about who's favored, who has the leverage in this situation, is Vladimir Putin really starting to feel any economic impacts from this war yet, and that's why he's coming to the table? Or is Donald Trump just, doing his bombastic best to try and bring these parties to the table to try to end the war? Who has the leverage going into Friday with this meeting in Alaska?
Putin has the leverage. Because Putin really, despite the negative economic consequences of this war, Putin has emerged as a wartime leader. And it's almost as if a continuation of the war sort of keeps him as the honored Kremlin leader. So I don't think economic sanctions have really hurt Russia, and they are making some headway. But the only thing that is going to put an end to this war is if the U.S. gives a lot more military aid to Ukraine and allies itself with the Europeans and Zelensky. The only way that Putin will stop the war is if he's really losing. And right now, the Russians aren't losing.
And do you think, does Vladimir Zelensky should he be in that first meeting? Again, we talk about how many meetings, what's going to happen in this process, but, he clearly needs to be part of any ceasefire discussions because Ukraine can ultimately walk away from this if they're not pleased with any sort of indications. Does he need to be there? Should he be there on Friday?
Absolutely, he should be there. By excluding Zelensky, it's almost as if he doesn't have a say. I mean, it's basically giving him the message. I know Trump said on the phone call today with Zelensky and the European leaders, or Zelensky said afterwards, well, Trump said that he supports us. But if he supported Ukraine and Zelensky, he would, after all, Ukraine is the victim in all this. Ukraine was the one that was attacked, and he's not even allowing the president of Ukraine to be in this meeting. It's not going to end well. And I think, frankly, that Trump knows this, and I wouldn't be surprised if he sort of at some point just pulled out and said it's a fight between the two of them, between Ukraine and Russia, and then stopped giving more weapons to Ukraine.
And then does that ultimately does more damage than good then for this situation?
Of course. Then it puts everything on the Europeans, and the U.S. has been supplying the Ukrainian military with intelligence and all these weapons. But, I think Trump is really in the pocket of Mr. Putin. And I don't think I think he, in the end, anything that would come out of this would be, even if there's a second meeting with Putin and talks with Zelensky, the bottom line is going to be that Russia is going to ask way too much from Ukraine, and they wouldn't be able to accept the conditions, giving up, for example, the Donbass territory and so forth. The Ukrainians can't do that. So, I think the aim is just to for the U.S. to have an excuse to stop providing Ukraine with military weapons.
Amy Knight, thank you for your time today. Appreciate this.
Thank you.